the bottom from here, but I'll try again.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kitsap Community Food Cooperative 2020 annual meeting. Just a quick reminder for everybody that is on and coming on, we'll make sure that you please keep your microphones muted as we're going, but you're going to have opportunities to engage in this meeting. So keep your microphone handy. First of all, a couple of quick introductions in terms of our groups. So we're doing this over Zoom today. So you'll see that we have a number of participants engaged with us on Zoom, and in particular, we have at Chaos Bay Brewing in East Bremerton, a large crowd of board members and co-op members. If you guys could wave, I can see you over there. Look at you guys. Ah, that's awesome. That's really awesome that you guys are out there. So welcome. We also have a few people joining us on Zoom today, as well as a number of board members joining on Zoom today. So let's go ahead and get started with our meeting. And what we do, and you should know that we always start our board meetings with this conversation, and we do a quick review and a reminder of the Kitsap Community Food Co-op's mission statement. So I'm going to read that to you, and I want you to take a moment as you hear it and think about something that resonates with you personally as a member owner of the Kitsap Community Food Co-op. Our mission is that the Kitsap Community Food Cooperative connects our local community with quality food, products, and access to information that promotes a healthy future for our families and our planet. Together, we work towards a world where mutually beneficial relationships exist between producers and purchasers. I want you to just take a brief moment and think about that mission statement for all of board members as well as community member owners. Think about where you connect into that mission statement, because in fact, we have member owners, we have board members, and we have producers in the audience today. All of those are connected into this mission statement. So think about that statement for a moment and where you connect into it. So now let's go into our agenda. So our agenda tonight is we're going to first start with some introductions and in part introduce our new board members, actually our whole board, but we'll introduce some of our new board members. And then our current vice president, Aaron Falcone, is going to give you a detailed state of the co-op report about where we're at, where we've been, and where we're going. Then we hope to have an opportunity to share some member voice. We want to hear from the member owners of the Kitsap Community Food Co-op as this board engages in some really important work. We're going to be looking towards and really digging in deeply in the coming year into the future of this co-op, where we want to go, how we want to get there, and how our member owners want to drive that. So we want to hear from you and get your voice. We're going to be creating more opportunities for that over the course of the year. So through that, we'll be identifying and collecting some priorities and our ideas. And we'll have a couple of quick announcements at the end and giving everybody an opportunity, if we have some time at the end, for some questions and answers. So first of all, let's introduce our board. Before I introduce the board individually, I'd like to introduce you to the board as a whole. You, as member owners of the Kitsap Community Food Co-op, are engaged in a democratically driven, member-owned business. And you, as member owners of the cooperative, elect board members to help drive the mission and the vision of our co-op and take on the responsibility of our future. So here are some of the things that your board does for you. They serve as your representative. They are your voice. We work hard to try to find out and listen to our member owners, serve our member owners, and be your representative as we move to the future of this co-op. We provide oversight in the overall operations of the co-op, including our fiduciary responsibilities. You're going to hear a lot of information in a few minutes about the financial aspects of operating this co-op, and it is dizzying. And so you have hired this board to be able to manage that fiduciary responsibility. We also draft policy and long-range strategy aligned with our mission. This is a business. This is a democratically owned and operated business, but we ensure that that the operations of this are based upon our policy, our vision, our mission. And so we draft that information and develop those long-range plans on behalf of the member owners. And finally, we assist in facilitating the work of our board committees. You'll hear a little bit about board committees and opportunities for member owners to engage in the work of the board. And we'll do that. We do that through committees, and you'll learn a little bit more about that in a bit. So, introductions. Here are your 2022-23 Board of Directors for the Kitsap Community Food Co-op. And so what I'm going to do, for those that are here, I know that there's a few board members that were not able to make it tonight, but I'm going to introduce you one-on-one, and I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic and jump in. And what I want you to do is just a very, very brief introduction, but then I also want you to share one thing at the co-op that you love. What's a product that you buy or something about the co-op that really resonates with you? And I'm just going to go in the order of our pictures. So Leslie Green, one of our newest board members, is first.
Hi, I am Leslie Green. I am the owner of Tiny Green Produce, so also a producer. And I would say one of my favorite things at the co-op, bulk section as a whole, but my favorite thing that I always buy there is the liquid detergent. I can't get enough of it. I hate plastic, so it's awesome.
Right on. Thank you, Leslie. Next is our current Vice President, Erin Falcone.
Hello. Yeah, current Vice President. I've been with the co-ops board since, oh gosh, the dawn of time. No, 2016. And I have so many things I love at the store, but I don't think I ever walk out of the co-op without Smith Brothers heavy cream. So probably have to put that at the top of my list.
And in order of our pictures, I'll go next. My name is Jeff Allen. This is my second block of time with the board. I was on the board early on as we were forming back in 2013 or so, and came back a couple of years ago to keep going with the board. You know, there's lots of things that come out of there. The thing that I'm coveting right now is my co-op hoodie. I wake up in the morning and I put my co-op hoodie on, and then I'll make some Pachamama farmers coffee. And that's how I start my morning, in my co-op hoodie and some co-op coffee. Alexa, I'm pretty sure, was not able to make it with us tonight. And so we're going to move on to Ashley Martinez.
Hello, I'm Ashley Martinez, owner of Ashley's Pub. And now that I've figured out how to be a pub owner for the last 5 years, I feel like I'm ready to learn how to be a community leader now. So hopefully I can help with the co-op. My favorite thing at the co-op has to be the Chop Shop's I think it's North by Southwest wraps. Those are so good.
Right on. Next up, and I believe she is there at Chaos Bay, is one of our newest board members. There she is, Mary Phelps.
Hi, I'm Mary Phelps. I just moved from Minneapolis and I spent some time over in co-ops there. So I'm excited to join the community here as I'm meeting people and learning everything. My favorite at the co-op right now, I'm super addicted to the Go Bulls, Go Pals, I don't know how to say it, the vegan jerky sticks, the Thai mango and the beet. I'm super, every time I'm in, I get a couple.
Right on. Thanks, Mary. Next up is Aaron Howell. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Hello, I'm Erin Howell, and I'm absolutely obsessed with Medulla Farms sprouts all the time, avocado toast, and Karen Springs flour that I make sourdough rolls with.
Right on. Thank you. Next up is Wendy Pond.
It's not muted.
Look at
Hi.
you guys rotating in the.
We're just rotating through. Hi, I'm Wendy Pond. This is my second year as a board member. Boy, picking a favorite item at the co-op is really hard for me. So I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here and say that my favorite new product line is the Cadia product line, because their stuff is quality organic food and the prices are amazing. I did some price comparing, and it's actually cheaper than Fred Meyer on a lot of items. So that has become my new favorite, is the Cadia line of products.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Next up, Dan Scheifel. I believe, and is Dan back from Portland? Welcome, Dan. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Sorry, I've lost my voice a little bit because I've had a rambunctious weekend. I'm Dan Scheifel, new to the board, business consultant by day. Keen to get plugged in here locally. Favorite product was one that was already said. I like, for the same reason, really, the bulk section. I hate plastic as well. So anytime I can go in there and fill up my own stuff and walk out with it is a good day. Excuse me. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And finally, Alyssa Torgensen.
Hi, so this is my second year, second time I've served on the board, and I think my favorite thing right now is the local produce, because we need to do everything we can to support our local producers because there isn't very many of them. And secondary to that would be the, I think it's the Coro sausages, which are amazing. So.
Right on. Thank you, Alyssa. And finally, though not a member of our board, an integral part of our team is Nathan. Nathan is our store manager. I'm sure if you've walked into the store, you've run into this tall guy with great hair. That's Nathan. And so I wanted to give a chance for Nathan to have a shout out. Nathan, share with us what's your favorite item in the store.
Sure thing. Yeah. Some of you may recognize I'm on the ferry right now. So if you hear an announcement behind you, that's not me. Honestly, I'm going to have to go with Alyssa here and just say produce. Produce is for me the coolest thing to buy because I've been talking to the people that are growing it, and it's just the thing I like to eat the most. And I think we have a pretty great selection of it.
Right on. And welcome, Nathan. Glad you can make it even on the ferry. Hey, one thing that you need to know about the board in our bylaws. So the member owners of the co-op elect their representatives as the board of directors. And then within the board of directors, we elect our officers. So we have 4 posts or 4 seats within our executive team. That is our president, vice president, treasurer, and clerk. In our upcoming board meeting, the board of directors among themselves elect those positions. So among the board members. So our upcoming board meeting in October, we're going to be seating our new officers. So just wanted to give you we have David. I want to acknowledge a couple of board members also that have left. David and Charlotte and Teresa, who are gone from the board now. David was our president. He worked very hard, and we were sad to see his term end. But you're assured that you got an excellent, incredibly talented, and well-connected board that as we move forward, you're going to have the leadership that this organization requires. So now, one of the things that we want to do for you is provide you with information about the state of the co-op, where we've been in the last year. We opened again on the 4th of July in 2019 in this tiny little 800 square foot store. And then we had a pandemic in the middle of starting up our store. In that time, we've made a lot of changes, and a lot of things have perpetuated for our growth or prepared us for our next iteration of growth. And so we've called upon Aaron Falcone, a past president and our current vice president, to share with you a detailed state of the co-op report. So Aaron, I'm going to let you go ahead and take over the screen. Let me stop sharing and you can begin to share your presentation.
All right, coming right up here. Okay, you let me know when you've got it up. Looks like it should be up.
It's good.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that, folks. Okay, so first of all, thank you everybody for coming on a Sunday evening. We'll do our best to keep this as interesting and short as possible. This presentation is really going to speak to that fiduciary part of the board. It's going to be kind of long on numbers and short on pictures, but it's important, and I'm really happy to have us talking about it. So to clarify, our fiscal year at the co-op runs from July through June. So we are looking at data from July 2021 through June 2022. This was our third full year of operations. So how are we doing? I want to start with a number that is really impressive to me, which is looking at our total gross sales since we opened the store back in 2019. Almost $1.7 million have moved through that tiny little corner of Bremerton. And when you look at it on the scale of big grocery, it's minuscule. But when you look at it on the scale of the Kitsap food system, it's huge and it's impressive. And we are needed and we are wanted. And that number makes me feel really, really good. But some other numbers are going to be a little bit harder. So I figured we'd start on a good note. If you work in business at all, you've probably spent some time looking at a profit and loss statement. And we're going to look at a very consolidated version of the co-op's profit and loss over the last year. So all the sources of money coming in, all the ways money went out, and how that balanced at the end. So our total income for the year from all sources was almost $607,000, which was a very tiny uptick over last year. So essentially we were kind of flat in terms of growth. The vast majority of our income comes from sales revenue. That's the number we're really most interested in when we're talking about how the store is doing. And again, $574,000. So that's where you're seeing most of that growth. We also did see an uptick in member equity. So these are the money that we take in from people who are purchasing membership shares of the store. And we also had $6,000 in grants and donations this year. So this is the income that we had to cover our expenses. And unfortunately, our expenses slightly outstripped our income this year, not by a lot, but overall our expenses rose more than our income did, and that's never a good situation. As always, the inventory, the things that we sell at the store, that's our biggest expense by far, and it more or less kept pace. It came up by about 1% the last year, although I suspect that may change in the coming year. And then our other major classes of expenses are kind of what I'm lumping into overall operations costs. Those came up quite a bit, up by 22%. That's where we saw the biggest increase. Our occupancy expenses came up a bit, about 7%. So that's increases in things like utilities and rent. And our payroll also came up by about 13% this year. So not surprisingly, we took our first significant net loss on operations this year. We came in actually about 36K short if you're just looking at operations overall. But if you look at all of our income, and we have to do that given our size, we came in about $3,000, almost $4,000 short this year. So we have some soul searching to do and some planning to do to keep the co-op growing and thriving as we move forward. If we look at our balance sheet as we closed our fiscal year, this is in kind of the other assets that we have at the store. We're estimating the value of the co-op at almost $122,000, which was actually a slight decrease over where we were at the end of the previous fiscal year, mostly due to us trying to rein in the amount of backstock inventory we carry. So not a big surprise there. And our estimated liabilities, so these are things that we knew that we would have to pay out at the end of the year, actually was up by about 14%. And this includes the accrued payroll on that particular date and some other expenses that we knew were coming. But most of that is an economic injury and disaster loan that we took out during COVID. We took out 24/9 in a loan as part of a COVID relief package. And it's got very gentle terms, so we're gradually paying that back, but it does represent our one significant liability at the store. So to think about it, we have a couple different ways of looking at our finances. And what you were looking at before is what comes from our bookkeeping system, and it's consolidating all the sort of income streams and costs into one. But a lot of times we like to look at the data that comes just from the store side, sort of the performance of how the products in the store are doing. And I'll walk you through this breakdown. We do this every year so that if you're not used to thinking about retail, this will help you understand kind of how the store works. So we start with our gross sales. This is the dollar value of everything that we sold, looking at the sticker price when it went off of the shelf. And we were just shy of $600,000 this year. As you probably know, we give out a fair number of discounts at the store. Kind of principal among these are the 10% monthly discount that we give our members, 5% standing bulk discounts, case discounts, and employee discounts. So we lose that off of our gross sales. We never see that money. So that leaves us with our net income. This is what hits our bookkeeping system, and that's that $574,000 number. Obviously, the biggest cost that comes out of there right away is the inventory that we purchased. And so if we look at the actual things that we sold, the approximate cost of those was about $370,000. So that's the bulk of our income goes to just pay for the things we sell. And that leaves us with $209,000 to cover everything else that we pay for at the store. And if you remember from our previous slide, all of those lumped together other operating costs for us were about $235,000. So that's that loss that you saw in operations. It cost us more to run the store than we brought in. So that gives us a profit margin, which is a really important number for grocery when you look at how your store is doing, of about 35%. And ultimately, the discounts we give are knocking our margin down by about 3%. And again, that's money that we give back to our members primarily in the form of discounts. So overall, we saw a slight increase in our gross sales, as we mentioned, and we actually saw a very slight increase in that margin, which was about 34.8% last year. Even small increases are a big deal in grocery, so that's good. And we also managed to get a modest decrease in our total discounts that went out by about 0.6%. Again, those are actual real numbers when you're in the world of grocery and margins are tiny. So that was a goal we set last year, but our discounts are still running as a percentage way above industry average. The take-home messages from this is that the modest increase in sales and our profit margin that we saw were not enough to offset the rising operating costs. And in general, if you look at the industry, co-ops are not typically sustainable if they have margins that are coming in below 38%, unless they are subsidizing their operations in some other way, which we haven't been doing too much, or at least not intentionally. But we've never really had much of a cash cushion at the co-op. You know, we opened very lean and we've operated very lean, and it's hard to make a profit. So this year, that difference comes from our equity. So that's our income that's coming from memberships. Normally that income would be for capital investments. We'd be saving that money to grow the co-op, to add to what we do. And right now we're having to use that money to sometimes pay the bills in months that come up short. That's not a sustainable approach. It prevents our growth, and we need to get to a point where our little store is at least self-sustaining and not taking away from our ability to grow. So the bottom line coming out of this fiscal year is that we really need to get aggressive about both cost controls where we can control costs, and there's not many that we can, and also growth to make the co-op sustainable. And that's growth on a lot of different levels, which we'll talk about a little bit as I move through this presentation. So to look a little bit more closely at our sales trends, this is our gross monthly sales of last year in there and this year. And you can kind of see that we went into this fiscal year during a bit of a period of growth. We actually, at the beginning of the fiscal year, hit our highest monthly gross sales, almost 60K. But from there, we've kind of contracted in the last few months. And that's really where we saw our losses, where both our gross sales fell to fairly low levels. We didn't get as low as our lowest last year. And our profitability also fell too in terms of our sales. And again, this isn't looking at operating expenses. This is just looking at how much income we bring in from each sale. So those red cogs are the actual cost of the goods we sold that month, not our total spending on inventory. Here's another way to look at it. And I'm kind of trying to highlight to you what are the unusual and high costs that come with our mission, which is selling healthy food and selling local food. And these are things we remain steadfastly committed to, but our strengths are also our greatest weaknesses, and we need to understand that. So if you look at this, this is our sales by the categories that we keep them in our bookkeeping system. And these are standardized categories for co-ops everywhere. And as expensive as the store is, and we all know that our store is very expensive, we are barely marking up our products enough to cover our costs, even without what we lose when we give away discounts and what we lose to waste, which is inevitable when you're selling food. So our initial margin, which is how much we mark up our products, is only 38%, which is bare minimum for most co-ops. We end up losing about 3% when we give away our discounts. And then it turns out we're losing almost 4%, sometimes more than 4% to waste. And there's a reason for this that's very tied to our mission. But our final margin, once you count that in, and then again, this isn't for our operating costs, is only 31%. And you cannot run a grocery store on 31% without some substantial income coming from somewhere else. Part of what drives that really high number is that 2 of our 3 top selling categories are highly perishable. It's produce and then it's dairy. And first of all, it's worth giving ourselves a huge pat on the back because our proportion of produce sales is pushing 3 times the national average for a grocery store. We sell a spectacular amount of produce in that tiny little corner of that tiny little store. And that is so much of our mission right there. But the final margins that we see on these highly perishable items are really low, 26, 24%, way below recovery of the costs of selling those items. So that's one of these problems that we're up against that's really going to be hard to address in our current operating setting. We really cannot mark up our food more than we do and expect to continue to compete in the market. I think we are starting to already see our sales contract as we're trying to absorb the dramatically rising COGS, cost of goods, that everybody is seeing. So marking up isn't a great option. We can't just make everything more expensive. We're already too expensive. And those produce and dairy sales are really core to our mission. So the last thing we want to do is start cutting back on what we think of as kind of our fresh, healthy food. We need to keep those well stocked. And to keep them well stocked means you're going to risk higher losses, especially in a store with as little infrastructure as we have. So there's a real big kind of look at what sets us up to both succeed and fail that are just baked into our business. The other thing is our commitment to selling local food. And that continues to just grow at a pace that is so impressive. I mean, even for a food co-op. So the proportion of sales of local products, which we're defining as basically small producers within the Puget Sound region, hit 36% last year, higher than most of the co-ops that I'm aware of. And I think we were at 32, so up to 36%. And as most of us here in this small group know, the cost of producing real healthy food in our local setting is so much higher than it is to produce on a large farm, and especially on a large conventional farm. So we pay our local producers fairly. Our producers are not coming in trying to make a lot of money off the co-op. They're just trying to be able to have their farms be sustainable, even if it's not the main thing that they're doing for their living. So we are very committed to paying fair prices to our local producers. And to make sure that we can still sell their products, we sometimes do limit the markup that we'll put on those. We want to keep them competitive, with other product lines within and outside the store. So that's one of the things that's limiting our margin, this huge proportion of local sales. The other thing is that sourcing from many little local vendors is a lot of work. You can ask Nathan, relative to going and we could provide those same products from large national vendors at a far lower cost and with way less labor, because you're just submitting one order to one place a week instead of to 74 vendors. So in a way, like this very much increases our labor cost. We need skilled labor in the store to manage a vendor pool this large and fragmented. So not something we want to give up on as we think about how we compromise to kind of get ourselves on the right track. So to summarize, the key challenges. The cost of goods for our store is super high because we are small. So whether we are sourcing from a big national supplier, we pay absolute top dollar because we have no volume discounts. And those costs are only going up. In fact, I looked at the consumer product index, if you track that at all, so how the cost of the goods that you will pay for are changing. In groceries over the last 12 months, it's 13.5%. The only thing that's higher than groceries right now is gasoline. So it's hitting everybody and it hits us little guys really hard. And our prices are high, as I said, and we cannot go higher. That's not how we're going to make more money, is by just simply making things really, really astronomically expensive. Right now, we know many customers, and especially people who live in and around the community we want to serve, struggle to afford the store as it is. But we can't make it more affordable by cutting our margin because we can't afford to do that, as we just said. And our labor costs are high, and the cost of living is rising dramatically. There's that CPI problem that's hitting us both in our COGS. Well, it's hitting our staff too, right? We want to pay our staff living wages, and we do. We pay really competitive wages for the grocery industry, especially given our size. And we want to keep growing that local sales pool that is so, the core of our mission. But we know it's really labor intensive. So that's a lot of challenges for one little store. But we do have a few solutions. Some we are actively engaged in right now, and some that we're going to be working on kind of in the near term as we work to turn our finances around in the latter part of this year. So one that is super exciting to me and I think to our staff, and will probably be somewhat invisible to most of the customers, but we'll see, is that we are going to finally get a big kid point of sale system. So, you know, it's something that customers don't see a whole lot, but we've been using a very low cost point of sale system since we opened the store. It's called Clover. You've probably seen it at coffee houses and, you know, small restaurants. That's really what it's built for. We've made it work, but it's been a hurt point for us, you know, having our point of sale system and our member systems, everything is really fragmented. So we submitted a grant proposal to a very competitive national program called the Healthy Food Financing Initiative. And we got it this year, third time we've tried. And we're going to be getting $46,000 to cover the cost of our little point of sale system. That's why we've never had this before. One of the things that's really exciting to me about this in terms of, in addition to making life way easier for the staff in the back, is that there's a few really critical elements that I think will really help us turn some of our costs around. One of these is that we will have the ability to set up charge accounts for our members. And what this means is that when you go to the store, you can say, put it on my tab. And either weekly or monthly, we can work out a schedule that lets us then withdraw that money from your account. And that has the potential to save us a lot of money in credit card processing fees. Like right now, we spend almost $1,000 a month just for the honor of accepting credit cards. So that can be some real money, especially if we get our big shoppers moved over to doing these ACH transfers and using charge accounts. The other is that this is going to come with a greatly enhanced online store, which, you know, it's hard to get worse than our online store right now. We've had a lot of tech problems on that side. And we are intending to include in that the ability to do case orders, because it's one of those little secrets that not everybody realizes that if you can get it from any of our vendors, you can get it at a 10% discount if you're in a position to buy a whole case. But it's hard to do right now. It's very much, you know, reach out to our staff and we'll talk about it or send an email. This is going to let you browse our catalogs and make that whole thing much easier. It's a very low labor way to sell a whole lot more product. So I think these are two changes that are going to come with Catapult that have the potential to really impact our bottom line. And I hope that they do. The other thing we're talking about right now is working in a volunteer labor program. We have a lot of volunteer labor that happens behind the scenes of the store. You know, this board puts in a spectacular amount of time. Marketing is done almost entirely by the board, all kinds of IT support, but we have never used volunteers in the store. And there's good reasons for that. You know, I mean, it's a job you need to know how to do, but many small co-ops, and especially co-ops that are serving low-income communities and looking to make healthy food affordable, do leverage volunteer labor from their member owners to help reduce overhead. And that lets them both keep their profits or their prices low and their profits a little bit higher so that they can pay for the things they have to pay for. So that's what we are considering working on right now, you know, using our paid labor where it is essential, and it absolutely is. Continuing to pay good competitive wages to our staff as much as we can. And setting up a program, there's plenty of these that we can model where volunteers earn discounts in exchange for the amount of time that they put in at the store. You know, we'll set up roles that are appropriate for volunteers and ideally cultivate a pool of more skilled volunteers who learn these roles and are effective for the store and effective for themselves in terms of being able to make the store more affordable. The other really important solution is more community engagement and enhanced marketing. Very exciting having a bigger board, you know, coming in to be able to take on and expand something that we really haven't been able to do very much in the first few years that the store has been open. We need to build our customer base, and we really need to build the base of customers who are using the co-op as their primary source of groceries. That reliable high dollar shopper is so key to us making this little store become self-sustaining. The top 25 households who come in and shop under their membership are currently providing almost 20% of our gross sales. That is, one, a little scary. That's kind of tenuous, you know, to have so much of the store resting on so few people. But it also tells me that you add a few of those and you can make a really meaningful difference. So, you know, if you're on the fence about how much you should shop the co-op, that be maybe a motivator. As most of us know, there is going to be massive residential growth around the store in the coming years, and we really need to be poised to engage these new residents and figure out what they need to make the co-op their primary store. This is an area that we really need to put some attention into, and we will. And I want to shout out to Charlie and Carol Michelle. They are two of our biggest supporters. They have been. Co-op would not be here without these super members. And Charlie did make a really generous donation this year that we've earmarked entirely to marketing. We have literally had no marketing budget for all the time the co-op has existed until now. So all that amazing marketing, that is thank you to our board. They are awesome, talented, and our staff working together to get the word out. Now we actually have some money, so we can do things that are necessary to grow. We pretty much maxed out what we can do, and we need to get serious about getting the word out. And with freedom to finally socialize again, hello, team at KSFA, expect to see more co-op events, both inside and outside the store, so that we can build on the community. So many people come to the co-op because they're looking for their tribe. And we want to be able to come together and engage with each other and build that tribe to build the store. And of course, the core of our tribe is our member owners. So let's take a moment and look at how we're doing. Basically, we've been averaging about 100 new member owners per year since 2019. So you can see 2019, that was a huge spike when the store opened. And basically, the store is our only real member owner marketing tool that's constantly going. We haven't been doing a whole lot of membership drives. We need to do those again. Right now, 2022 is tracking to be probably about the same unless we get serious about adding more member owners. In total, we have just over 1,000 member owners that are fully paid, and we have 153 that are in payment plans right now. We have 662 who've come in and shopped at the store and used their membership. So basically about half. We'd love to know what those other members are doing and where they're shopping, because they should be shopping at their store. But our total sales to members is almost $1 million. I mean, that helps you recognize that people who value the store enough to own it are the ones who are going to shop it, and they're the ones that are going to carry us to the future. So we need more members, and we need more members to be doing more shopping. On average, our members are spending $80 a month. So that tells me that no, most of these members, they are not using the co-op as their primary store. They're using it as a specialty store to buy certain things. But, our top members, they're mostly, actually our highest member average is just over $800 a month, which interestingly is still well below what is considered a typical household monthly spending on groceries. So it can be done, and probably for less than you think. And those are households that I know personally who do almost all of their shopping in the store. So great segue into what can you do to keep our co-op strong and growing? As always, shop. Please, this is what the store needs, is more shoppers. And if you're still doing most of your shopping somewhere else, tell us what we can do to help you fill your cart at the co-op instead. info@kitsapfood.coop. We are always listening, and I will personally guarantee you a response within a couple days. Leave your discounts at the store if you can. We know not everybody can. There's a lot of people who need that discount to bring the co-op into their reach, and if that's you, please use your discount. But if it's not you and you could leave that 10% every month, do it. The store needs it really bad right now. Apply peer pressure. If you have friends who are members who aren't shopping, but they probably could be sure to drop them a hint, not subtly, that this would be a great time if you'd like to keep the co-op to get in the store a little bit more often. And give co-op gift certificates this holiday season, both to members who aren't shopping and to people who might not even know we exist. Free money to shop at the store is a great way to get new people in the store. Basically, shop it like you own it, because you do. And this is your store. And if you want to keep it, we have to get serious. So what can we, the board, do? We need to grow. Without question, we need to grow. I'm not sure we even thought we'd still be this small in 3 years, but the most critical thing we can do to ensure our long-term success is to become a fully fledged grocery store in time to serve all those people that are moving to downtown Bremerton. So many cost savings and margin balancing things happen when a store gets big that we don't have. We knew it would be really hard to make the store economically viable, and it is real hard. So that's our next step. And that is really what this board is going to be doing in the coming year. Expansion planning is a huge job. It was a huge job when we expansion planned to build the store we have now, and it's going to be an order of magnitude bigger when we go to build the store we need to be. And the more our member owners can step up and support the store we have today, the more the board we have now, which is an amazing, skilled, talented, and full board, can focus on building the store of tomorrow. It is very hard to both be involved in the operations of the store and be involved in expansion planning. So if we want this board to be able to pull this off, we need help. We need you on those committees. And we don't have to do this alone. I will say that over the past year, I've seen some of the most exciting synergies starting to come together as the entire food system recognizes the role that we each play, our shared missions. And there's some very exciting work going in the background right now for how we can actually all pitch in to contribute to the growth of our food system in its various places. And I want to give a quick shout out to what we call the Food Systems Roundtable. And this includes members of WSU Kitsap Extension and the Conservation District, ourselves, Kitsap Fresh, Kitsap Harvest, all the food banks, the farmers markets. We come together and we look for ways to support each other. And I think that's going to be one of the key things that carries us collectively together, the co-op. And Kitsap Credit Union has recently achieved a special status that allows them access to federal funding for community development. And they reached out to us, which was amazing, to say, how can we help? We have never, well, I shouldn't say that, but we have had relatively limited support from financial institutions, especially in the way of actual money to help support this co-op. And having a credit union with CDFI status, willing, able, and looking to partner with us is huge. So here's to the future. A lot of things to look forward to as we come off of a little bit of a hard year. And as I always end these talks, remember, every dollar you spend on food is a vote for or against the industrial food system. So get out there and cooperate with all your might. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Erin. That was a ton of information, and thank God we recorded it so that we could share it with everybody else.
I know.
Hey, just a quick connect. We've got some member owners in Zoom, and of course we've got our crew at Chaos Bay. Just a quick question. Anybody have a quick question before we move on relative to the information that Erin just shared? And feel free to just unmute your mic and let her rip. And that's okay. Great. Hey, one other thing before we get into a little bit more engagement, I want to do a little bit of a shout out. Nathan, can you turn your camera back on? There he is. And I know that, so I wanted to, I recognized Nathan earlier in the meeting. I just want to do a quick shout out to staff, and I believe is Al out there? There's Al. Okay, so Nathan is our store manager. Al is Alistair is one of our staff, and they are the smiling faces that you see in the store that keep this thing running. The board works very hard and trying to support everything that's going on, but it's these people that you meet every day in the store that come there every day to serve you. And so the next time you are shopping at the store, I encourage you to give them a big thank you as well. Okay, so the next thing we want to do in the short time that we have left, let me get back to my Zoom controls here and share my screen. We're going to have oh, and is Anna on this? Oh, I just heard Anna. Are you on there too? Anna, open up your camera so that everybody can see you. One of our other staff, I just heard is on there. Is that you, Anna? Maybe not. Okay. Want to make sure everybody got called out. There she is. Hi, Anna. Another one of our smiling faces at the store. So again, I just encourage you the next time you're in the store, say thank you to these to our staff, because they are awesome and they're amazing. Okay, so a little bit of engagement, and we want to hear from you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into a couple of breakout rooms, and the way I've got this structured is Chaos Bay, you're going to be your own breakout room. And then we'll have everybody else in another breakout room, because we have a lot of board members. We have more board members present than we do have community members. But what we're going to do is have a very brief conversation around these three questions. First of all, we want to hear from our member owners. What is your vision of the co-op? You heard from Erin where we've been, what the challenges that we face in operating this tiny little store in this tiny little space in downtown Bremerton. So we want to ask you, what's your vision? Whether it's through growth or it's the types of things that we sell and put on the shelves, to the kind of engagement that we have with our broader community. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you're going to work on those 3 questions in your group. What is your vision for the co-op? And that's a very broad question intentionally. The second is, how can the co-op engage with its member owners more? Through events like this, our member meetings, through other events, or getting people into the store and shopping at the stores. Erin said one of the most powerful and impactful things that we can do for the sustainability of this cooperative is getting people in there and buying at the store. Finally, how can the board strengthen its connections with the broader and more diverse communities that is Bremerton? There's a certain demographic that co-ops can serve. We want to make sure that we're serving the entire community of Bremerton. So we're looking for your ideas and how we can strengthen those connections in our communities. So here's how it's going to work. And you know what? I was going to send us off to using a little board, a little tool online, but because of the size of our groups, I think we'll just have a report out with some ideas that were shared. So I'm going to send you into breakout rooms for about 8 or 9 minutes, and we'll just have some conversation. We'd like to hear from people about what they think is the next steps. And then we'll have a very brief report out, and we'll be recording those ideas. And then we'll wrap up with a couple of announcements at the end. Okay, so I'm going to move you into those breakout rooms, and we'll have a very brief discussion on what's your vision, how we can engage our member owners, and how do we engage the broader community of Bremerton. All right, here you go. Okay, welcome back. So Chaos Bay, I can tell you guys have been having a pretty solid, engaging conversation. So what we'll do is we'll do a couple of just brief breakout or report outs from our 2 groups and share some of the information. So from our group, we had member owner Renee and member owner Maria, as well as a staff member, Anna. And so we got some feedback from them. And one of the things that they talked about is just the need to grow, get bigger, but attend to downtown Bremerton is still our core. And the desire there to recognize that East Bremerton has a lot of services for grocery out there. And if we want to serve the diversity that is Bremerton and Kitsap County, that it's real important that we stay in downtown Bremerton. Also talking about considerations for low income and less mobile member owners to be able to shop. It's really difficult. We do EBT, we do some other discounts, but people that are on a fixed income, questions about what are the things that we can do that could make the co-op more accessible to them. That may include even delivery services. And Anna really talked about how important it is for this co-op to be able to create itself as a space. A really great book from several years ago called The Great Third Place, where there's places where you live, there's places where you work, and then there's places where you gather. And it's that desire for the co-op to be a place where people come to and connect with growers like Leslie, and be able to sit down and eat their Southwest wrap out there on the sidewalk and connect with other people. So those are a couple of the things that we talked about. And so Chaos Bay, you were the other breakout room. So what were some of the things that you talked about there?
Okay, so we had quite a few ideas, and apologies if I don't cover all of them, but we were talking about creating a kind of pop-up bulk drive, member owners giving out kind of reusable containers, and in reference to all of the new apartment buildings coming in, kind of teaching them, creating an educational opportunity to teach them the actual costs and how cheap it is to refill containers, as well as, kind of figuring out other ways to advertise to them in general. Al mentioned advertising to lower income residents and all the programs that we take EBT, and kind of promoting more social justice programs, engaging directly with schools. We have a representative from Catalyst here. What is it? John. And it's John. And so yeah, kind of finding out, what sort of programs they might have where we can donate maybe produce that might, next day be donated to a free program, and kind of, engaging with families in that way. Let's see, creating a subscription service around highly perishable foods. So kind of monthly coffee bag, bottle of wine, gallon milk, eggs, kind of creating a predictable cycle would be really helpful. There are a few members here that don't necessarily live nor commute through the downtown corridor. So creating kind of a purpose-driven stop for their subscription would be highly effective. Also promoting kind of the case order model. And we talked about the fact that Catapult would make online ordering a lot easier for that sort of thing. Let's see. We have a member here that has a barrier because she works ridiculous hours. And so we're not open during hours that, necessarily she can get through, but she wants to be able to order online, and is happy to kind of create a system through volunteers, dropping off groceries to anyone that may need that additional service. Let's see. And then another idea was, would a cheaper milk option be better than, given Smith Brothers already delivers to homes, and they also have kind of a grocery, like Beyond Milk ordering option, so that we can be a better competitor in carrying a different brand. So, and forgive me, I try to get as much as I
You got a lot. Hey, that's short. You got a lot going on in that short 10 minutes. So thank you very much. I'm glad we captured all of that. And I will add that, yes, we talked about how we can leverage EBT and other resources to make things more affordable. All right, excellent. This is one of the things that I think that we can do better as a board, is what we just did. In how do we bring in our member owners and have conversations with our member owners and learn from them what their desires are, and have an easier line of communication between those. So we will be working on that as well. Okay, thank you very much. We're running a little late, so I'm going to push on to the last couple of slides here to wrap up our meeting. Couple of things I want to make you aware of. Did I click the right one? Yeah. A couple of things I want to make you aware of. As a part of our mission, we are connected into our community. And there's two things I want to share with you that are going on now or coming up soon that member owners should be aware of. First of all, it's our partnership with Kitsap Harvest Grow a Row. There is a donation station at the co-op. And so if you have any excess produce that grows from your garden, or if you desire to just purchase some products at the co-op and put them into the donation bin, those get collected every Monday and go to Kitsap Harvest's distribution warehouse, where they sort and ensure that food gets into the mouths of people in need. They work with a number of different partners to make sure that excess food that would necessarily go to waste gets to people who can use it. So if you have excess food growing in your garden right now, bring it on down to the co-op and you can donate that into the Kitsap Harvest Grow a Row donation station. Also, a partnership that we started last year that was wildly successful, and we hope to do it again, is a partnership with the Pathways to Success, which is a youth workforce program. These are young people who are low income and are struggling and are getting the support from a case manager. What we do is we buy gift certificates during the Christmas time and donate those to those youth that are in need, so that they can come and shop and buy fresh fruits and vegetables at the food co-op. So you'll hear more about that during the holiday season. You can always keep abreast of what's going on with the co-op, excuse me, with our Facebook and Instagram channels. And every Friday, check your mailbox, or your email box, for the Kitsap Community Food Co-op Beat Blast that gets issued every Friday. If you're not on the mailing list for that, you can go to kitsapfood.coop/newsletter and sign up to get that weekly email that has information, new products, a great source of information that comes out every Friday. All right, with that, we want to thank you. This board of directors is really grateful that you've selected us to serve you. We want to thank you for entrusting us with your little store. You own this store and you're entrusting us to help you make it a successful business. So thank you. Thank you for joining, and you'll hear from us again really soon. So that is the conclusion of our 2022 annual membership meeting. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Anna. See you later.